Hi, my friend. It's Friday and I'm Pat Sloan, and today is my birthday. Once a year, we all have a birthday. I am one of those people who love my birthday. My family always made a super big deal about birthdays. When it was your birthday, you didn't even get out of bed as a kid before there were presents arriving, and it was just a party all day long. I'm also now, as an adult, one of those that really likes to sort of celebrate the whole month. And I'm at the end of the month, so that's fun. So you get to have this crescendo of celebrating up until my birthday at the end of the month. Now, a lot of you know that I had some surgery on my nose on this Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and it is now Friday. I taped this in advance. I also taped some of the prior videos here you saw this week because I wanted to just have that out of the way. So next week I will have some videos that are not taped, which will be the after surgery face. So, okay, so let's do this first. It is the day after Thanksgiving in the United States. Thanksgiving is sort of the end of fall. Today starts winter, Christmas, holiday season. And also in my family, my granny would always decorate on the day after Thanksgiving. Never before, because you had to enjoy Thanksgiving. You can't just rush it. So I will be decorating for Christmas, but that also means that I get to show you the wreath quilt that is quilted. And I have to tell you that when my friend Cindy was feeling so badly and not doing well for quite a while, I needed to look around to find somebody else to help me sometimes with some of my quilting. And I was talking to, because she was not feeling well enough to do it. And I do have other people I can ship to, but my local friends said to me, why don't you try our friend local here in town, which I have never done, because I'd met people long before then who were quilting, and so I'd always just shipped to those people. So I contacted Jenny, and she just lives 10 minutes from my house, and she quilted a couple pieces for me. She quilted the wreaths and she quilted Summer Soiree, and she is also going to quilt the Christmas Perfect 10 one that I just did. So she has that right now. But I got the Christmas one back, and I'll show it to you in a second. But what was the fun part is that was actually going to her home and her studio, which is in a detached garage from her house, is her long arm studio. It was interesting to be able to go in person and talk to her, because I got to thinking, I have never done that. I have never taken my quilt in person to somebody, talked to them, went in person to pick it up, to see it. I mean, it's just not in my radar at all, because I've always shipped my quilts. Even the very first time that I had someone long arm for me, it was mailed, and that was probably in about 1997, something like that. My friend Brenda and I did a collaboration quilt, a huge, monstrous, king-size log cabin for our co-worker Steve, who was getting married. So we were super excited. Steve was getting married, and we thought, okay, we're going to make this big thing. And then we're like, oh my goodness, this is gigantic. We do not want to quilt this. So I went to the back of the magazine, because there was no internet yet, and looked through the back of the magazine and found this place in Texas where this lady would quilt them in, an overall, a nice overall. And we thought, perfect. No qualms about it at all. Brenda and I are not that way. We're just like, okay, ship it, off it goes. That's wonderful. It'll come back done. We just put the binding on. It came back. It was wonderful. And from that point onward, many hundreds and hundreds of my quilts have been quilted by somebody else. Even when I had a few people here locally, I would just ship it to them, because they were not that close to me. They might have been, 35, 40 minutes away, and I just didn't feel the need to go drive there. I just thought, well, I'll just stick it in the mail. I've always just stuck them in the mail. So it was kind of fun to go to Jenny's place and see her studio and talk to her about it and pick it up. So here are the wreaths. I will hold it up. Down the road, I will put it up on the wall and show you, but today I'm just going to hold it up. It's big, you know that. It's a great quilt. So here they are. Here's the wreaths. And what we did is we picked a sort of a It's a snowflake sort of wave with two different shapes in it. So I'm going to hold it up here and see if you can see a bit of it. Whoop, let me get it flat like that. So maybe you can see a bit of it. But there's a star and a snowflake that they're just really pretty. And it turned out really nice. Jenny did a fabulous job. And I'll show you the summer soiree when I get that one out. Okay, we are going to move on to WoodLand Wonderland. Ta-da! And we are in chapter 4. That's where the blocks are. Last week we started chapter 4 with this block. We did the wreath, added the wreath in the trees. That was last week. This week you'll do the rest of the blocks in chapter 4, which will be all of these pine cone blocks. There's 3 of them. They're called the pine cone block. I love them. And this is the one I'm going to show you a little tip on working with this corner unit. And besides the pine cone block, then you have the snow crystal block. I love this. This is so gorgeous. I could actually see this block bigger, like a much bigger block, like a 20-inch block of this. I just think that would be so fabulous. What about it on point? Look at that, like sprinkled across your quilt. Ah, snow crystals. And also remember, we are now officially in festive holiday mode. So you can get out your pins and you can wear your wreath from the pins. And of course, the cute little hedgies got like holly or like evergreens and berries. So time to get those out. Let's take a look at those corners because they're interesting and they're fun to do. So I went ahead and mocked the block up on the design board. One of the nice things about the design board is you can stick pins in it. See, I've got like that. Just stick the pins right in there into these foam core boards. So perfect. So you can just get a vision of where your block is going, whether you like the block or not. What I want to do is I'm going to take this corner off and put it on the table and just talk about the construction of that, because that's the one that's a little bit different. It's a little bit more I would call traditional or old school patchwork. Nowadays, a lot of things are written just with squares, half square triangles, sew and flip units, things that are, you do have a little bit of waste because like when you do sew and flip, you have part of it that you often don't use. And what this does is cutting the shapes so that they can actually be just used as is, maybe with a little bit of trimming. And we don't see that quite as much with current blocks, but they're the way to get these kind of design elements that you often can't get any other way. So let's just take a look at that. I will zoom on in here because here is one of the blocks. They're called the pine cone block in our book. I'm going to take all of the parts for this unit and we'll just put them on the table here because there's several things about it. First of all, some of the cutting directions have you cutting with 7/8 inches, which is totally fine, normal way to cut shapes with 7/8, but it might not be something that you're used to looking at. So on your ruler, when you're looking on your ruler, you will find all the tiny little dashes in between. When you look at the little dashes in between, those are the 8. So you have a 3/8 or a 7/8, and you're just cutting those, which just makes it a little bit smaller than the 1/4 inch. So you end up having squares that you cut in half, and that's the same with this. You will be sewing like this to the block, and then like this to the block, so that you will have this unit and it'll be nice and flat and sewn. And then after that, you will be sewing like this to get those 4 corners. So it's really not a big mystery. It's all just about doing a good 1/4 inch seam. And then afterwards, measuring this up, which I will show you. Here is a step-by-step. You've got the square. You'll take your your triangle and you'll line it up in one of the corners. So you line it up in the corner and you'll sew that seam. Okay, so it's lined up in the corner. And that will give you this. Here it is, closed, just like I did, sewn and press open. Okay, now we have the next one that has to go on here. And that will look like this when it's done. And before so to sew it, you're going to put it up in this corner. Okay, you're going to put it in that corner and then sew all the way across, and then you'll end up flipping it open like this. So when you see it, here is that one. So there was the corner I did. Here it was sewn shut, sew down. Okay, so now you see here's the point, and this is the point that we want to be lining up for to get our other unit on here. Get in the middle. So I will be putting this triangle on top of this one, and they should be basically the same size when you're doing this. But we're not going to sew here because you're sewing blind. You can't see that intersection. So you want to flip it, and then you're going to sew along here and hit right through that intersection point and then sew across, which will give you this. And when you have this, you can take your square, we're going to rotate it this way, and if you need to trim anything, you will be using the diagonal right along the center, and this should be a 3.5 inch square. And if you want, you can cut off those little dog ears. You don't even need the ruler, but there, like mine is exactly what it should be. Cheers. So before I sewed the block, I took a break. I went over and walked to the Starbucks, which is in the plaza just by my house, and today was their red cup, reusable red cups. So when you came in, if you ordered a holiday drink, you got one of their reusable. So there's the plastic cups that you can reuse, so that I can take that and get drinks in it. And it was fun. It's just fun to do that, and sometimes, especially right now, I need some fun. So okay, so I sewed the block up. This is my red and white with a pop of gray pine cone block from the WoodLand Wonderland. Where is that on here? Well, there's a couple of them, obviously, because you have to do 3. So there's one of them up here, and they're sprinkled through there. So this week you will be doing all 3. Here they are from the kit. I love the white one, love it. Look at this. And so same with it, I love them all. So you have these 3, and then you're going to do the snow crystal block. So pretty, so pretty. And these are just half square triangles and flying geese. So there's nothing special or unique about this one. Easy peasy. Well, there's a little bit small squares, but you can do it, you can do it. All right, over my website today, there is a picture of all my red and white ones together, and a picture of all of these up on the wall from the kit. And they are looking so good, so good. All right, it's my birthday. Just have to tell you again, remember I taped this a little bit in advance, so today is not Red Cup Day on my birthday, it was last week. And if you have not subscribed yet, would you please do that for me for my birthday and ask all your friends? I would still love to hit 100,000 here at YouTube. Cindy and I, that was my big goal, our big goal. She was always encouraging people to come and sign up, and I would love to do that. I would love to be able to do that. Okay, I love you. Mwah. See you online.